From my experience around these individuals, you could really feel the effort for them to keep you down, for them to make sure that you don't outshine them, out succeed them, be more successful than them. You could really see the effort to hold you down, trap you, and make sure that you never outshine them, you never uh, out succeed them as far as status in society. You never have more accomplishments. And if you do have accomplishments, like I have accomplishments, they won't acknowledge it as anything that great. They won't acknowledge it as anything that great. They'll invalidate your big accomplishments. Um, that's what I noticed from my parents mainly. But it doesn't matter what you accomplish. You could accomplish the best thing ever. They'll still invalidate it. They'll still not acknowledge it as anything great. Trust me on that. Um, so yeah, I could really feel the effort to make sure that I knew that I was not to outshine anybody in the family. I was not to rise up and be more successful than anybody in the family. You could really sense that effort, that strong effort against me, that strong secret hate, and sometimes not secret hate against me, um, to make sure that I stayed as a prisoner, basically, or a hostage, uh, to be targeted and uh, made fun of, bullied, you name it, to make sure that I knew that I was not to go out in the world and succeed and outshine them. The message was very, very clear. I was not to outshine them, uh, either parent. So, yeah, that's just one thing I noticed. And it's a very strong effort to smother you. It's a very strong effort to smother you, uh, to target you, to make sure you know your place, uh, as beneath them, you know. So that's all I wanted to say is just that obvious effort that was against me, that smothering effort, that was very real. Um, to not outshine them ever, to not outrank them ever, to not be more successful than them ever. The message was very clear. And if I try to succeed, they would invalidate it and then knock me down again. You know, that type of thing. I'd go for them for some validation or help. They'll knock me down again. You know what I mean? Like it's like a false life raft. You know what I mean? They pretended to be there as a life raft, but they weren't really. You know, it was a pretend life raft. You know, if that makes any sense. They would pretend to be a lifeline, but they weren't. You know what I mean? It some fucked up stuff. uh, Tactic, to pretend that you're caring and you're there and you want to invalidate you. I mean, you want to validate them, but you don't. You don't validate them on purpose. You know, it's some messed up stuff. So, anyways, that's just one piece of the puzzle that I noticed, was the smothering, the obvious smothering, the obvious isolation, the obvious let me know that I was not to succeed in anything in life. I was not to be anything in life. That message was clear. I was to be a nothing. I was to be a nothing in this life, just a zero, a no count. And they made that very clear at a young age. Very clear. I was not to outshine them. I was not to outdo them. I was not to out compete them. I was not to out succeed them. I was, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff. And so I basically held myself back, you know, and part of it was them holding me back too, you know, uh, to not be a real success in life, to not be happy in life, you know. Uh, there was a real campaign against me, a real one. And there was a smear campaign going on the whole time as well, to other family. So if I were to go to any other family for help, they wouldn't believe me because I was already labeled. You see what I'm saying? I was already labeled. Um, so I couldn't expose them to any other family. Not that any other family would believe me because they're narcissists as well. They're all part of a narcissist network, for the most part, except for like a couple cousins. But yeah, um, they made sure I had no options for help. They made sure of that very well. Uh, if I went to authorities, they would believe them over me, 100%. Uh, their 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 tactics were very well done. Um, and not only did they call me crazy, but they were targeting to make me react. This is key, to make me react like I'm having issues, to make me react like I'm crazy. They were poking. You know what I'm saying? I was reacting to them. And so they were using that as evidence of, oh, he's crazy, but I'm reacting to them poking me. You know, I'm reacting to them doing violence, against me, um, smashing plates over my head. You know what I mean? Um, any any kid would react to that throughout life. If that happened to them, and they're hanging out with their abusers after the fact. You know what I mean? And they can't say anything. You know what I mean? Uh, the abusers have basically blocked them off. If I go to authorities, I would have to come home and they would vent me. If any of the authorities were to expose them, they would they would just call me a liar. They would get out of it. Is my sense of the whole thing. Was like they were, because they're in the medical field. They're both in the medical field. Who's going to believe a kid, you know what I mean, that is reacting to abuse over two people in the medical field? You know what I mean? They made sure I had a big mountain to climb. They made sure of that, on purpose. I knew I had a big mountain to climb if I was to expose them or prove anything. And I feel like even now I have a mountain to climb. You know what I'm saying? Uh, but anyways, yeah, they just made sure they had everything covered. Everything covered. I was just like, my attitude was just, why try? You know what I'm saying? They got all the bases covered. They smeared me. Uh, they made everybody think I'm crazy. They smeared my name. God didn't intervene to protect me. You know what I'm saying? So I must not be worth that much. So I'm just like, why try? Not even God intervened. So why try? You know what I'm saying? That was my attitude. God intervened way later, like way later, but back then, no, no intervention from God back then at all. So it was a big mountain against me to climb against, big time, uh, big time unwinnable. Um, I said this the other day. It's just like my parents could have beat Jesus. They could have beat Jesus if Jesus was a kid in my shoes, a regular human. My parents would have broke him. They would have, and I don't care what anybody says. There's no options, um, and they were that overwhelming. Um, so, and I'm not talking about a man against them, even though I think they would take down a man. I'm talking about when you're a kid, you know, they would have broke it, you know. So, anyways, that's all I want to say. Later.